What's great about the NHL Merit Trophies is that everyone is unique.
I think the Selke Trophy recognizes something that's really important, really underappreciated.
The Calder Memorial Trophy. It looks like a trophy should look.
The Art Ross Trophy is a very special trophy, an outstanding award to win, there's no doubt about it.
It's a trophy where you know you're the best. It's a badge of honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the NHL scoring champion, recipient of the Art Ross Trophy.
There's no objectivity to the Art Ross Trophy. It is really black and white. It's the person who collects the most goals and assists for points through the regular season, and that makes them the scoring champion in the National Hockey League.
Crosby walks in, he scores! What a goal!
Pretty competitive league with a lot of great players. To win the Art Ross Trophy is pretty difficult, so I think there's a lot of pride that comes with that.
It's two things. It's a team award. You have to be able to play with some really good players and usually be on a good team.
McDavid catching up, hit shot, scores!
And secondly, it's a consistency award. It's an award that shows that you showed up a lot of nights and played well a lot of nights and were able to produce at a high level throughout the course of the year and do it better than anyone else that year.
Art Ross was an innovator. He tried to find new ideas that would make the game more exciting, more fair, and some of the things that he introduced were the Art Ross puck.
He modified the standard puck. He has a 1940 patent, a puck that was used for years and years and years, with a beveled edge to prevent it from rolling.
The original puck, and this is not insignificant, I don't want to say flat edges, but they were unfinished. The edges of the puck were extremely sharp. There was no beveling at all, which meant that the puck would roll when it got on edge, which made it very, very difficult to stick handle. And also it was sharp. It would cut your flesh very, very easily. What Art did with the model that he patented was score the edges, got the patent from 1940 until 1968, and made a nifty 4 cents every time a puck went out of play.
I think the fact that there are pucks instead of standard plaques on the beautiful Art Ross Trophy is absolutely inspired.
But additionally, he was an innovator of the goal net into which those pucks are deposited. He innovated the, for lack of a better word, B-shaped, that is much more familiar now, from what was really a box with some string across it, except he forgot to patent the netting, which his wife actually crocheted for a period of time. That would have raised his capital significantly. Let's put it that way.
1947-48, the first year that the Art Ross Trophy was awarded, Elmer Locke won the trophy, and he collected 61 points. To draw a parallel, Wayne Gretzky scored 215 points in his best season as well, so you see the wide range of points through the years as the game has developed.
In 1954-55, Bernie Geoffrion of the Montreal Canadiens won the Art Ross by 1 point, finishing ahead of his teammate Maurice Richard. And the great asterisk on that is that was the year that Maurice Richard got into a tussle with Hal Laycoe of the Boston Bruins, was suspended by Clarence Campbell, the president of the NHL, for the last 3 games of the regular season and the playoffs. That ultimately touched off the famous Richard riot of the 17th of March, 1955.
The game was canceled and forfeited to Detroit, and the Forum emptied in near panic.
Before that, Bernie Geoffrion finishes 1 point ahead of the Rocket, playing the last 3 games of the regular season while the Rocket sits steaming on the sidelines. And Bernie Geoffrion was booed by Montreal Canadiens fans, his own fans, for passing the Rocket. Imagine winning the Art Ross Trophy and you're booed for it.
The last game in 1959-60, Bronco Horvath, 29 years old, he had 1 point lead going into the last game against Chicago. During that game, Bronco Horvath gets injured. He goes for x-rays. By the time he comes back, Bobby Hull's got 2 goals. And he wins. Now, it meant so much to Horvath because he's 29 years old and Bobby Hull's 20, and he wept in the dressing room afterwards.
In the 2005-2006 season, an unusual thing happened with the Art Ross Trophy. Joe Thornton won the trophy that year. He'd started the year with the Boston Bruins, but was traded through the season to the San Jose Sharks. And it's the first time ever that the Art Ross Trophy winner had played on 2 teams during the same season. For a period of 21 years, there are only 3 names that grace the Art Ross Trophy: Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and Jaromir Jagr. Wayne Gretzky, for example, won the Art Ross Trophy 10 times, 7 times consecutively.
You have to start with Gretzky and pretty much end there from the standpoint of sheer tonnage, sheer accumulation.
When it comes to the Art Ross, it has to be Wayne Gretzky.
The greatest, point getter of all time would be the guy who's got the most points of all time, and that'd be Wayne Gretzky.
His games played per season was almost as impressive as his points per season because he was able to stay healthy. Could Mario have done the same thing had he been able to stay healthy? We'll never know.
I think winning it 6 times says a lot about his consistency. He was so skilled and so dominant. That's really difficult to do over that period of time. A 6 is pretty impressive.
1979-80, Marcel Dionne and Wayne Gretzky both finished with an equal number of points to win the Art Ross Trophy, but the award went to Marcel Dionne because he scored 2 more goals than Wayne Gretzky. And that's the way it's adjudicated to this point. If there's a tie, the person with the most goals, in fact, is favored to win the trophy.
Look at Connor McDavid now, and I would argue that he's the greatest hockey player on the face of the earth, and he just has still such incredible upside. He's now passed 1,000 points, and you just look at what he can bring to the game.
He's obviously Connor McDavid. I would say, you really have to think about when he's on the ice.
Gets by Ekholm. He shot, scores!
His speed, side to side, as well as straight forward, and the way that he can create plays is pretty incredible, and I think unlike anybody else in the league.
It's cool. Anytime your name is associated with Wayne Gretzky, it's probably because you're doing something pretty good.
When almost any time that anyone receives this award at the NHL Awards, the player will stand up and will say this is a team award. And it very much is so, because a guy is not going to score the goals and get the assists that he needs all by himself. You look at the engraved pucks on that trophy, and they understand how important and how special it is, and how this really is among the most famous trophies, and certainly one of the most coveted in the NHL's trophy case.
Selke Trophy goes to
Rod Brandon-Moore,
Guy Carbonneau, Ron Francis.
The Selke Trophy is awarded to the best defensive forward in the National Hockey League. But the definition has kind of morphed through the years. For the longest time, it was the player who didn't necessarily produce great numbers as far as points go, but who was able to stop the other team much more effectively. The Selke Trophy, very, very ornate as far as the bowl on the top. And then they've got the wooden base with these pseudo-puck plaques below that with the names of some of the great defensive forwards in the game.
It looks like one of the trophies that you might be able to pour a lot of champagne in, but number one, it's an individual award, so that wouldn't happen. And number two, you might be risking your health if you tried to drink out of that bowl. Frank Selke was one of the all-time great managers in the game of hockey. He was a pioneer off the ice, certainly. He was a great architect.
Frank Selke was very, very closely associated at the beginning of his career with Toronto Maple Leafs. Close collaboration with Conn Smythe in the construction during wartime against horrific economic challenges of Maple Leaf Gardens in a very, very short period of time. He was a tremendously astute observer of all of the components of what went into successful hockey. The defensive aspect of the game was one that was incredibly interesting to him.
He goes on to Montreal and he wins the Stanley Cup 6 times in 8 years. Selke was a great general manager, and when the National Hockey League decided that they wanted to have a trophy in his name, a defensive forward was one thing that was not necessarily being recognized in the blush of all of the other awards, which pretty much honored offensive excellence.
Yes, the people who get the headlines are the ones who make the goals and make the saves. That being said, no team can win without a Doug Jarvis, without a Bob Gainey, without a player who is so good defensively.
It's so important to play both ends of the ice because I think that's what ultimately allows you to win. It's just as important to keep the puck out of your net as it is to put the puck in the other net.
Going Going back to when it was first initiated, the Selke Trophy was won by Bob Gainey. In fact, he won it the first 4 seasons that the trophy was awarded.
Soviet coach Anatoly Tarasov called Bob Gainey the best all-around hockey player in the world. Captain of the Montreal Canadiens, he played hurt more than anybody ever imagined anyone playing hurt.
The Selke Trophy has been awarded the most times to Patrice Bergeron, who really was an extraordinary hockey player. He was really, really strong at defending against the other team.
They got to get there. Bergeron prevents it. Here's Camp moving on in. Harassed from behind by Bergeron enough that he couldn't get a shot away.
But he also could produce, too, so it was the finest definition of a defensive forward.
There's a couple guys that come to mind when you talk about the Selke. Obviously, one, Patrice Bergeron, just from one, how many he's won, and obviously his style of play and his two-way play, his commitment to both ends of the rink is pretty incredible. I really looked up to, obviously, Patrice, but Jonathan Toews as well, Selke winner.
Pavel Datsyuk was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2024, and his nickname was the Magic Man because he was so adept at stick handling. He could score very well as well, but he was outstanding on the defensive side of the puck.
Just a wizard. Any number of players could have been steaming down the ice thinking that there was no one near them, no one who could oppose them, only to have their stick lifted off the puck and turning around in astonishment to watch Pavel Datsyuk head the other way.
In 1992-93, the Toronto Maple Leafs went on a great run.
Going to the net, the pass to Gilmore.
And they were led by a forward by the name of Doug Gilmour. He set a record for the most assists by the Toronto Maple Leaf players through history.
He would go back and back check, and he would do everything, and he would do takeaways, and that would help him offensively. And he transitioned very well from defense to offense. A real complete player.
Many people looked at his being awarded the Selke Trophy as almost a consolation prize for not winning the Hart Trophy that year.
My teammates are so important, and if it wasn't for them, this would not be possible. So thank you, and Dad, happy Father's Day.
Alexander Barkov has won it twice.
Size, strength, smarts, real grit, but also a very, very high level of determination.
I think it's important to play both ends of the ice because the NHL, everybody's a good player. There's always elite players on the other team, so if you cannot defend, then it's hard to get the puck back.
Defense is where the offense comes from. You can't score without the puck. If you don't have it, you have to get it back. Carbonneau, Bergeron, so many others. The pursuit, the persistence, the eagerness to pursue the puck is not for everybody.
It's very much a trophy that teams understand that you have to be able to play just as well without the puck as with it. When you have someone who is playing the game as well as the Frank Selke Award winners, chances are pretty good you're going to be winning more games than you're not going to be winning.
Andrew Raycroft is seeing his first action in the National League.
In for a chance to win it. He scores! Kirill the Thrill!
The Calder Memorial Trophy is awarded to the best first-year player in the National Hockey League. And the stipulation is that they can play no more than 25 previous games in the National Hockey League.
Barzal able to hold off Nance, and he scores! The first NHL goal for Matt Barzal.
The beautiful trophy with a lovely wood base and the plaques on it give us a good representation of some of the greatest ever to play the game.
Save, Brodeur! Score! Howard got beautiful! Score! What a beautiful piece of work by this 18-year-old!
And also some players who are long forgotten who were awarded the Calder Trophy.
The trophy summarizes the man, and what a man he was.
Frank Calder was the president of the National Hockey League at its inauguration in 1917. He'd been a sports writer before that, and he continued in the National Hockey League as the president until 1943. So this award was named in his honor.
The National Hockey League was born during the First World War.
The armistice was still a long and tortured year away when a group of far-sighted men met in Montreal, in the gilded halls of the Windsor Hotel, to plan the future of ice hockey.
2 years later, the Stanley Cup final canceled by flu epidemic. 10 years after that, stock market crash. 2 years following that, Great Depression. Then, as Calder, in his final moments, World War II is raging. Somehow, this man, born of Scottish parents in England, ushered the league from chaos to, I won't call it anything close to clarity, but I'll call it less chaos. He's been described as square shoulder, square jaw, square principles. And look at the trophy that survives him, all 90-degree angles.
It was not a perpetual trophy. He had a different one made every year, and the winner got to keep it. When he passed away in 1943, the Calder Memorial Trophy was instituted in his honor. It's a perpetual trophy, and it's one of the great trophies in the showcase of the National Hockey League and the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Carl Voss is the inaugural winner of the Calder Trophy. He won it in 1933, but I think many people are reminded that he made his stake in the National Hockey League by being the referee-in-chief.
The same standard that we use during the season, Wes. You know, years ago, we didn't do that in the playoffs.
The Calder Trophy is, in many ways, a harbinger of things to come. Some of the names that are on the trophy certainly are names that are in the Hockey Hall of Fame, are in the minds of people as some of the greatest players in the game.
Ovechkin, here he comes. Ovechkin trying to drag it through him there.
When I think of all the Calder Trophy winners, a lot of them were really high draft picks. Number one, Perreault and others.
Gilbert Perreault works in.
I think that generally, if you're coming out of that draft and you're one of the top 1, 2, or 3 picks, then almost right away your name has gone into the hat.
Down shot, looks to center. Katie scores! Patrick Kane, a one-timer!
That rookie year, it's a whirlwind of emotions and stuff like that. Like, it's such a great experience. You're learning so much.
Being a rookie in this league, it's very hard. You can't really gear yourself up for, how many games that you're playing. It's not just physically draining, it's also mentally draining.
You look at someone like Connor Bedard, who comes into the league and has this unbelievable amount of pressure on his shoulders. For a player who comes in really heralded, and way more so today than we would have seen in the past, where maybe some other players would have come in and won the thing almost under the radar.
For Bedard down low. Bedard! Scores!
Being a rookie is a lot of fun. Every building you go into is a new one. You're excited to see everything, see every city, and, it's a lot of learning and growing, so, I really enjoyed it. Winning the Calder is a cool moment. I got to be there with my family and kind of enjoy the day with them, see a lot of other guys kind of collect awards, and, it was a fun day.
35 winners of the Calder Trophy over the years have gone to the Hockey Hall of Fame. So while you have some players who win the Calder and don't necessarily have tremendous NHL careers, you've had a very good selection, 36 players who have played brilliantly.
Nylander moving in, works it across in front, he scores! Matthews!
When Matthews came in as a rookie, scored 4 his first night and then scored 40 that year, I think that was kind of an eye-opener.
Looking back on it, there are a couple, like Nathan McKinnon, and the year he had. That's one that stands out to me. It's hard to come in the league as a rookie, and he was the one in recent memory that did a really good job.
In 1992-93, Teemu Selanne took the National Hockey League by storm. He scored 76 goals as a rookie in the league. It's still a record in the NHL.
To get 76 goals in your first year in a strange country and rinks and everything, you have to be pretty good.
He got like a little breakaway, and the goalie came out and he poked it with like one hand on his backhand, like right over the goalie, and then goes on one knee and then kind of goes like that with his stick. It's pretty awesome. Pretty iconic one.
Some strange anomalies with the Calder Memorial Trophy have happened through the years, and one that I like to tell about is Ken Dryden. He won the trophy in 1971-72. Well, that was his rookie season, but in fact, he had already won the Stanley Cup the previous season as the goaltender with the Montreal Canadiens and was awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player in the playoffs.
But as he stood in his favorite pose with his hands crossed on the top of his stick, that was his trademark, other than just ruining everyone's hope when they played against him.
Right, making another fantastic save.
Wayne Gretzky debuted in 1978-79, and because of the career that he enjoyed, you would assume that he won the Calder Trophy as the top rookie. But that wasn't the case. In fact, he was ruled ineligible because he had played a season in the World Hockey Association the year before, so was ineligible. And in fact, Bobby Smith with the Minnesota North Stars won the Calder Memorial Trophy that season. Sergei Makarov won the trophy as a 31-year-old. Now, he had already played professionally in Russia at that point.
Going for the net. Holy Makarov!
But by coming over to the National Hockey League in his first season, he wins the Calder Trophy. Well, that rule was changed because of Makarov, and now the situation is you have to be 26 years of age or younger and have played fewer than 25 games in the National Hockey League prior to that win.
One of the things that I absolutely love about the Calder Trophy is that you can win the Stanley Cup 11 times, as Arnie Richard did. You can win other NHL trophies multiple times. The Calder Trophy, you are going to win one time and one time alone, because only once are you going to be a rookie in the National Hockey League.
I think an award like this can also be credited to the 24 or 25 guys that I've suited up with all season long. I'd also like to thank the Colorado Avalanche for giving me a chance to play in the NHL this year.
Thank everybody, my family and friends back in Calgary.
It's working. I want to thank my family for them to be here, except Mom. She's in Hawaii, working on town.
Say thanks to my family. Can I speak Russian because my mom and dad don't understand English.
Trying to bust through the